So day one offered an inspiring start to the summit, a powerful exploration of development, resilience, health, and finance for impact in the global south. We heard stories of innovation under pressure, of communities rebuilding with strength and foresight, and of leaders driving impact that uplifts lives far beyond borders. Yesterday, we explored themes of connection, innovation, and shared destiny. We heard from thought leaders and change makers who reaffirmed that our histories, though diverse, converge in a single purpose: to shape a just, prosperous, and self-sustaining global south. I just want to take a moment before we begin to honor the driving force behind this summit who just spoke, Mr. David Roberts. David's unwavering passion, since I've known it for the past year, for uniting the diaspora, creating platforms for partnership, and amplifying African-Caribbean excellence continues to inspire us all. His belief that we are indeed stronger together has transformed ACSIS from an idea into a movement, a living testament to our shared ambition. And I really hope that we can continue this and see you all in, is it Ghana next year, maybe? Okay, so I'd like to open up now, and we will move on to the amazing speakers and the topics that we have set out for today. So we'll first focus on this morning's theme of development and resilience. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our first distinguished speaker of the day, Her Excellency Machenje Mazoka, the High Commissioner of Zambia to the United Kingdom, who will speak on development and resilience in diplomatic relations. Her Excellency was born into a family with deep ties to public service. Her father, Anderson Mazoka, was a prominent Zambian politician. Her Excellency embarked on a career in broadcasting, working in the US, both in DC and New York, before returning to Africa. For over 16 years, she led communications and marketing at South African Broadcasting Corporation, overseeing strategy, partnerships, and stakeholder engagement. Since assuming her diplomatic post, Her Excellency has prioritized economic diplomacy, strengthening Zambia-UK relations, promoting foreign investment into Zambia, and amplifying Zambia's role in global conversations around climate, development, and governance. She also chairs and has chaired NGOs focused on good governance, election monitoring, and development forums in the SADC region. A global communicator at heart, Her Excellency uses her rich media background to project Zambia's narrative abroad with a strong belief that the art of persuasion and storytelling remain central to diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Zambia's High Commissioner, Machenje Mazoka, to the podium.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, partners, friends, David, our forever champion of collaboration between our regions and all other stakeholders who are there to help lift and push our collective agenda of sustainable development, prosperity, and just strong people-to-people skills, people-to-people engagements. And I think the issue of prosperity should be highlighted even further, because we want our countries and our region to grow and to prosper. We want to invest in our areas of the world in the ways in which we invested, perhaps not voluntarily, in the creation and development of other areas of the world. So I think it's our time. It's our time to come together. It's our time to collectively grow as partners in that regard. It's a privilege to stand here and provide just some insights in our shared vision, or what could be our shared vision, what is our shared vision, and perhaps some insights into Zambia's role and the opportunities that we have to engage. Now, I believe there should be a presentation. I was asked to speak today about development and resilience and looking at ways in which the diplomatic community can approach how we work together. Is this my personal clicker? Yes. Okay. And which one do I push? Because I don't want to switch it off. There's a red button. I get concerned when I see red. The one to the right. Nope. Maybe try my other right. Nope. Okay, great. Thank you so much. A common heritage for a common future. I think one of the opportunities that we have is that the continent of Africa and the Caribbean region, we are natural allies. We have strong historical, cultural, and developmental ties that may not have been highlighted in the past as much as it should be. We had a very fruitful meeting with the colleagues from CARICOM and part of the African Diplomatic Corps in the UK earlier this week, where we looked at some tangible ways in which we can move forward with discussions around reparatory justice, more collaborative efforts. And this journey has been going on for actually over 100 years, these discussions. So it's new, but it's not new. So I think we have an opportunity to leverage on our natural ally category, if you will. Both of our regions are rising voices in international governance, championing equitable trade, there are opportunities in that regard, climate justice. As small developing nations, many of us face some of the same challenges, so there are opportunities for key learning between our member states, and also collaboration in terms of sustainable growth. Deepening diplomatic engagements is a strategic way for us to work together, given our shared history and ways in which we can be innovative about moving forward. Using diplomacy as a catalyst for development. Well, all of our sovereign states have goals, clearly. We know that we want economic development, particularly those of us who are in the category, particularly those of us in the global south. We know our challenges. And because there are so many concentric circles where there is clear alignment, and the engagements more recently that have been happening between CARICOM and the African Union, I think we're getting to a solid place of having an action plan to move forward. Particularly from a diplomatic framework is what I'm referring to. Because once we have a concrete pathway, concrete agreements, it makes it easier for states to engage on a more formal basis. People to people, that can always move. And that's why I think in terms of people to people, there are also opportunities in that regard. But from a diplomatic framework, I think we're at a point now where since there is more formality, there are stronger opportunities that fall under the framework of modern diplomacy. So that's economic cooperation, looking at areas of trade, and then how do we do that? You know, how do we ensure that we have policies that are in place, that we have agreements between countries that make it easier for us to work more closely together? And that requires solidarity. So solidarity in the ways in which we look at diversification of partnerships between our various countries and nation states, how we deal with disaster response, as we can see what happened with Jamaica, which was devastating. And there'll be most likely, unfortunately, more of these types of natural disasters and shocks that are going to occur moving forward. So how do we collectively come together in order to see how we can mitigate that as a wider global community? We have opportunities in terms of from a solidarity standpoint to amplify our voices on areas of trade, climate finance, because nothing can happen without the money. And I think that's why COP is even going to be extended further, because they're saying that there's no agreement because there's no talk of money. Where's the concrete deliverable as it relates to finance? Because that's what we need in order to move forward. We need to strengthen our resilience amongst ourselves, advancing joint crisis cooperation, innovation-driven collaborations in renewable energy. David referred to that in the presentation earlier. Renewable energy is the way to go in the future. A lot of our countries either have natural resources that can help with that from a minerals and or mining perspective, or we have the agricultural frameworks that can help with biofuel, if you're talking about sugarcane offshoots, et cetera. So there are ways in which I think we can look closer in formalizing how we do that. Zambia has engaged with Caribbean states, and we look forward to doing more of that. So we look forward to more formal conversations amongst our nation states. Zambia is a participant in the Africa-Caribbean Pacific Framework, so what that means is that there are formal established ties that are already in place. We're a member of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States. Again, more formality, so it allows for easier engagements from a framework perspective. ACP countries, that means sustainable development, trade and cooperation. That's what we want to do. So those are the key areas, again, where discussions have already been had, agreements are already in place. So it's a matter of how do we bring our businesses on board to speak to each other to help accelerate that. And of course, Commonwealth ties. Let us not lose sight of the value that the Commonwealth brings in terms of the family of the Commonwealth. So that has deep, deep, deep roots. Zambia has been a member of the Commonwealth since the early 60s. Most Caribbean countries are members of the Commonwealth. So there's a natural ally in that regard. And of course, there are probably 30-something countries from the African continent, if you combine Caribbean and African, that are part of the Commonwealth. So we really manage over 50%. We're more than over 50% representation on the Commonwealth, so that means that collectively we have a lot that we can drive and push from an agenda standpoint, so opportunities for alignment. Bilateral links between Zambia and the Caribbean. In 2025, we started engaging with Barbados more formally. So again, once there is that framework from a government-to-government standpoint, it allows for bilateral relations. So if your country does not have bilateral relations with Zambia or any other African country, I would encourage you to encourage that, particularly for those of you who are in the business sector, business community, and or cultural sector, to help drive that agenda, to help drive that, because as citizens, you have that right. So you certainly have that right. So bilaterals are a great start, and then we can go to the multilateral, which is already there from the AU CARICOM framework. So beyond multilateral relations, Zambia does enjoy bilats, at least currently with Barbados and other countries, but we are really looking forward to deepening our bilateral ties with other Caribbean countries. Things that can start small, eradicating visa fees. So those are conversations to have so that it makes it easier to go in and out of each other's countries. And that helps with the people-to-people skills and with the people-to-people facilitation, and then also business skills. So how do we leverage more of the Africa-Caribbean collaborations in general? What are the things that we can do? Well, trade. I think that is the word of the decade, certainly over the next 4 years. We know for sure it's all about trade. As mentioned, Zambia has a lot of, and a lot of African countries have a lot of the critical minerals that are, that will drive the energy transition, and also looking at rare earth minerals and how technology is going to move forward. Without these minerals and resources, the world is not going to be able to embrace, whether it is AI and or tech in the way that we want. So there's a huge demand, particularly from big countries, to have access to these resources. So as partners on the ground, perhaps consider ways in which you can partner with someone in Zambia and or other African countries in things such as processing. We have the raw materials, small processing plants, whether it's with copper, whether it's with cobalt, to create tools that can help fuel this next fourth industrial revolution that we're undergoing. Agro-processing is also something that is a viable opportunity. Many Caribbean states are made up of strong agricultural economies. How can we partner in that regard with processing and then shipping and trading amongst each other? Zambia also could partner with Caribbean countries for processed goods. And that's one of the areas in which we want to look at more development around manufacturing. Yes, we have raw materials, but it's the manufacturing, it's the added value that happens where we're looking for partners in that regard. Cultural tourism, environment and energy collaboration, institutional capacity and finance. There are a lot of fintech conversations happening between Caribbean states and the African continent. Africa has had innovations in terms of digital payment systems. How can we open that up a little bit more widely to ensure that our Caribbean friends are integrated in that system that can allow for e-trade? Those are the types of conversations that can take both of our areas forward. Our diasporans are dynamic. Our diasporans are all over the world. Our diasporans have money. And so we want to leverage what their resources are and what they have in terms of from an investment standpoint. And now my clicker is not working. Oops, pardon me. Through our strategic alliances, I think I had mentioned some of these before, trade diplomacy, investment partnerships, people-to-people diplomacy, financial cooperation, knowledge diplomacy. What do you know? What skills can we share amongst each other? Zambia's experience in terms of from an economic diplomacy framework, just to give you a sense of how we are looking at our current economic diplomacy. It's really all about economics. How do we drive investment into the country? That is our key focus area. We are a member of COMESA. We are a member, as mentioned, of the Commonwealth, AU. So there's structures in place. We have partnerships with AFCTA. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a great opportunity for partners who come on board, because what does that do? It allows you access into the entire African markets. The AFCTA is under development. It's moving a little slower than we anticipated and hoped, but it is moving. So once you set your seed, and I'll say in Zambia because we have 8 neighbors around us. So if you partner and start a business in Zambia, you have 8 markets for which your product can go to. So again, these are just some of the ways in which we can look a little bit more holistically and probably more practically in terms of how we can work together as sovereign states. So again, what the recommendations are is look into agreements that are currently on the table between the African Union and CARICOM. What are the key deliverable areas that the countries have agreed upon? Those are the target areas from a sovereign nation to sovereign nation standpoint. And then those are where the conversations can happen around how do we create pathways to ease businesses and opportunities to come in, because there's already something formally established. So now how do we then grease the pathways between each of our sovereign states to move forward? So my colleagues are here. We have Kasaliko Mulenga, who is Counselor Economic from the Zambia High Commission, and Yvonne Zulu, who is in charge of trade. So please engage. Thank you.
Thank you, High Commissioner Mazoka, for those valuable insights and for highlighting how regional cooperation really strengthens our resilience and growth. We will now hear from another distinguished speaker, Councillor Sidney Yankson, who is the councillor for Red Cliff Ward. and he is a dedicated public servant and community champion, now serving as the counselor in Kensington and Chelsea. He was born to Ghanaian parents, but raised in London, and brings strong conservative values rooted in family, service, and hard work. He served in the British Army Reserves, worked as a commercial barrister and in private banking, and founded a charity providing solar lights to underserved African communities. Sydney focuses on improving housing, public safety, air quality, and crime in his ward, all driven by a passion for giving back and building stronger, more resilient communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the counselor.
Ambassadors, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Make sure the clicker is working. Yep, it's working. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sydney. Obviously, you can tell from the introduction, but from my surname that I have a Ghanaian background. And today I'm going to talk very briefly about what the council can do locally and what the government can do nationally to help with this extremely important subject to improve trade, communication, and to help the Global South by helping us get to where we need to be. I'm going to talk very briefly on those areas. I'll give a bit of an introduction to my background, before we just touch on very eloquently in the opening remarks. I want to talk and focus quite heavily on trade. I think financing and trade, as we've heard from the organisers, are an extremely important part of what this conference is about. I'll then, as I've mentioned, talk a little bit about local government, and then touch on very briefly, if I may, on national government. But I'll also look forward to meeting with you all afterwards to talk in detail about your own personal situations and how we can help. So in terms of my background, I always like to start with a quote. A lot of you will know Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who said, "We look neither east nor west, we look forward." And that's a theme that I want you to hold in the front of your minds, not only through my presentation, but as we go forward. As you heard, I went to school in London. That's me with the knobbly knees in the front. So I went to boarding school here in London. And after that, I went to university where I did a degree in physics. And that wasn't particularly useful because I'm not a very good physicist. But from there, I went to investment banking. So I worked for a number of banks in a number of cities around the world. After that, as a common theme, I joined the British Army, and this is me on operations somewhere. And then immediately after I moved to Hong Kong, I cross-qualified as a lawyer. And that will be part of my journey going forward. In order for me to understand a little bit more about law, one of the things I did was move to America, to a place called Boston, where I studied human rights law, United Nations law, to try and understand a bit more about the world. I was coming from a place where I thought I knew, but I wanted to make sure I did know. So I went and broadened that slightly further. That becomes important because I worked for a United States Massachusetts senator, and one of the things I did there was work in the economic committee dealing with finance and trade. So I had a very good understanding of not only where the money comes from, but I was also drafting the laws to actually deploy the capital. So those skill sets helped my journey go forward. As I said, that was on the west. I then went to the east, and having lived in Hong Kong for a short period of about 17 years, I did my second master's at the University of Hong Kong. And then I, for some bizarre reason, was the first ever black barrister called to the Bar of Hong Kong. No one quite no. No applause necessary because people still don't know why I did that. But anyway, So I went to the bar, and as you heard from the introduction, I practice in commercial banking and financial law. And my clicker's not working. Is it working? I think we may have gone too far forward, but we'll start here. So in terms of trade, after studying in the United States, I was persuaded by some investors in Hong Kong to set up a boutique private equity firm called Ghana Capital Partners, or GCP. And we had two main roles. The first one was to tackle investment, and the second was to look at consultancy. How do we help the diaspora? How do we help people on the ground move to where they want to be? And as part of that, the Hong Kong government asked me to lead a small trade delegation to Lagos and to Accra. I think 2014 this photo was taken at Freedom Arch. I'll pause here just to give you a couple of snippets, which I'll touch on in a moment. The delegates there, you'll see me standing on the left next to Perry Fung. We met with the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, about 274 businesses. We then went to Accra to meet with the Accra Chamber of Commerce and met with about 162 businesses. And it was incredibly important for me at that time, obviously I wasn't an employee of the Hong Kong government, to try and give back to the place where my family are from by bringing the capital from the East directly on the ground. So I arranged and facilitated, very similar to what you're doing here, face-to-face meetings with people with capital, with people with businesses, to actually move that principle forward. And of course, GCP continues to move capital onto the continent. At the moment, we don't do anything with the Caribbean, but we're waiting to be persuaded that we should be doing that. So moving forward from there, if my clicker will go forward. Is it working? The clicker's stopped working. Slow? My thumbs are too weak after all of that. Okay, here we are. So I just wanted to give a sort of a brief snapshot of the sort of things that we've done in terms of GCP to try and move trade forward. This is me speaking in Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan, to a number of investors about a project and a number of projects that we were financing on the continent. I think the African Investment Bank, or ACSIS, I think may have been on the ground and looked forward to one of those projects. We'll go jump forward 3 there. Oh, there we are. This is at a Hong Kong Investment Summit, and a number of you will notice, obviously not me, but the former president of Nigeria. We were introducing some investors into some of the projects that he brought to us. This was a delegation of barristers from Ghana, from the Ghana Bar Association, coming to London so I could help them with some of their financial and legal issues. And here we are with the then Ghana High Commissioner at Ghana House in Belgrave Square. Oh, gone too far forward, sorry. And this final picture is a picture of me speaking to a delegation in Somalia, where we took a number of different projects to financial close, and we also took some investors to look at projects on the ground. And here we can see the former president of Ghana and, of course, the former president of Nigeria here in London, but we're meeting both with financial and legal representatives on a regular basis. And I think this theme of don't look east, don't look west, but look forward is absolutely crucial to everything we've done. At this conference in Copenhagen, I was speaking to a number of different investors, and you'll see me holding, obviously I'm not very small, but the check was big. It was, I think, 7 million euros. And so we're trying to bring capital onto the continent, but we'll go where people require us to go to make sure that journey can go forward. So I just wanted to share some of these things so that people had a vague sense of the art of the possible and where we've come from. In Kenya, we looked at doing a number of different projects. I'm here with the former governor of the Central Bank of Kenya. And one of the key things he told me was perseverance. We're all here today, as we've heard earlier, it's extremely cold and miserable outside, but we're all in here and we've all persevered. And I think that is a key and crucial component. Nothing happening on the clicker? There we are. And then I think this is the final one. This is, of course, the current president of Ghana. And one of the key messages that he gave us, which I'd like to share with you, are that whether you're a startup or you're a multinational, you must be giving back to the continent. And I think it's absolutely vital that we share ideas, we share with the diaspora, we share with the people on the ground, and we make sure that things work. When we were in Somalia, I met not just the governor of the Central Bank of Somaliland, but also the future president. And one of the things he told us was that in the Somali diaspora, they're transacting about $1.8 billion a year via their banking transactions and their banking network. And that empowered me to think, well, where is a large portion of that capital come from? And he said, from the Somali population in Wales. So you've got quite a large diaspora for Somalia, which is sending money back to their country to help it go forward. And it's exactly those sort of thoughts and those sort of ideas that I shared with the president about how do we move us to where we need to be. So I now want to just talk very briefly, if the clicker will allow me. There we are. About local government and what we're doing here to actually help people in this room and people help businesses locally. So I'll put up a couple of very brief slides there. On the left, I was elected in about 3.5 years ago to be a local councillor here. Very few people know what local councillors do. I certainly didn't know very much about it myself. But all joking aside, we do a number of different things, and I sit on a number of different committees within the council. The number one committee is the Overview Committee, which I sit on, and I'm Vice Chairman of Audit. So I look after where the money goes, which is obviously quite important, and a theme that goes through my slides. But the key thing that I'll mention there is that there are a number of things that the local government is doing that is helping support local businesses to help promote trade. And the key one I've highlighted there is the Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the board of the local Chamber of Commerce, which covers Kensington, Chelsea, and Westminster. So we have about 6,000 businesses, ranging from one-man bands that make bow ties and business card holders, right up to what I call small high street shops about 500 yards away from here called Harrods, that some of you may have heard of. They are all members of our chamber. So we network with them, we deal with them on a regular basis, and what we try and do is collaborate with trade and promote finance and investment into businesses. So our whole ethos is to support business. At the national government level, some of you would have seen that, if you don't know who that little man is standing next to me, he's the former Prime Minister of the UK, a guy called Rishi Sunak, and he asked me to stand for Parliament last year in his hometown of Southampton. I wasn't elected, you'll be pleased to know, which is why I'm only the local government councillor. But one of the things that we share is not only a background in investment and financial banking, but a love of promoting business, trade, to get stuff done. He invited me to his house for some drinks, so we put a little photo of number 10, for those of you who don't know where that is. And this is really, I won't read you, it's a very busy slide, but the key headlines are promoting business, promoting trade. And that's one of our key ethos of not only us, but also for all businesses within the African and Caribbean diaspora. Moving to the final part of my slide presentation, this gentleman inside the red square, you may not know him, but his name is Alderman Sir Alan Yarrow, and a number of years ago, he was Lord Mayor of the City of London. So whilst I was in Accra doing some investments into projects, This showcase brought a delegation of 25 businesses from the City of London, covering banking, insurance, finance, and accountancy to help the City of London invest more money specifically into Ghana. And so everybody has heard of the City of London. Oh, the picture's gone off. Everyone has heard of the City of London, and I would always promote that the national picture not only includes central government, but also the city, because there's an awful lot of capital there, and a lot of it wants to come onto the continent, and it wants to come into the Caribbean. So we try and facilitate getting capital where it needs to get to. I've put up this picture, which is one of my fellow Ghanaians. You may or may not recognize him, but this was obviously Kwesi Kwarteng, the Right Honourable. And this was, I think he was still Chancellor at the time, but you had to take the picture quick because he was only Chancellor for 34 days. So I did very well there to take the picture quickly before he decided to resign. But one of the things that he does, obviously as a fellow Ghanaian, is help me navigate not only what's inside central government, but getting this big machine of capital to work where it needs to go. And I've put this rather busy slide up here as one of my final slides. And what it does is it explains, or tries to explain, that the role, or my role specifically within the local government, but also within the role at GCP, is to try and help businesses, business people, with ideas, with passion, with vision, move forward and actually get things done. And I wanted to share with you some of the 172, I think 175 separate UK government agencies that exist. A number of them on here people hadn't heard of, and I hadn't heard of until I actually put this slide together. But the two key ones that I'll mention are the bottom left-hand corner, UK Export Finance, and then the top right-hand corner, the British Business Bank. So UK Export Finance, as I'm sure most people in this room will know, is the arm of the government which provides capital to UK companies to help them de-risk a transaction going overseas. So a typical transaction that we've dealt with, we've invested in a company that does fruit juice. They want to export their fruit juice to different companies, different countries. So one of the things UK Export Finance does is it provides capital guarantees to a UK company that does a deal with that company in Africa. And that is, it's not my phone, and that is incredibly important because it helps move business and it helps move trade. And finally, British Business Bank, obviously it's available on the internet. Some of you may or may not know, I checked before this conference, they've currently got a scheme in place for £500 million. I think 400 million of that is to promote African, black businesses and female-led businesses. So there's a pool of capital sitting there to the tune of about £400 million. And one of the things that we do in these presentations is to help people understand, well, why didn't we know about that? Why is Sydney telling us that on a Saturday morning when it's snowing outside? And so there's a big issue with trying to get access to where are these pools of cash? Because there are clearly pools of cash available. British Business Bank's got 400 million available today for Africans and women who want to do business. So my key message and my key takeaway is that there is capital there. Persevere, as the presidents have told me over many years. Stay with it and persevere. And I think we'll get to where we need to get to. So I look forward to hearing from most of you, and I'd like to thank you for speaking today. Thank you very much.
Know about this? This 400 million? How could we access this money? Thank you, Councillor, for underscoring how shared perseverance and partnership can drive sustainable progress across the global south. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear from someone who has the utmost passion for not only the health and well-being of her patients, but society as a whole. She is a lifelong friend and I cannot sing her praises enough for the perseverance, once again, and fortitude she exhibits in both her profession within government and her career in the medical field. Dr. Ingrid Buffon currently serves as a Member of Parliament, as the Minister of Education, Health, and Social Services in Montserrat, which is a British overseas territory in the Caribbean with a population of approximately 4,300 people. And for those of you who have never heard of Montserrat, because I still believe people have not heard of Montserrat, it is a very small Caribbean island, and it was and still is significantly economically and financially affected by volcanic eruptions 30 years ago. It is also significantly affected by migration and isolation. Dr. Buffon, who's a physician with 26 years of experience, in her role as minister, is deeply committed to strengthening public health, education, and social welfare systems to better serve all residents of the island. Her priorities in health include addressing NCDs, which are non-communicable diseases, and their complications, as these account for 70% of deaths on the island. Improving medical evacuation through local policy, protocols, and an MOU with neighboring tertiary centers. Advocating for early cancer diagnosis through enhanced screening programs and improved diagnostic ability. These are all things that are very dire for Montserrat. Dr. Buffon is presently working towards implementing both a cancer screening registry and a cancer incidence registry, updating and strengthening health policy and legislation to ensure that current practices reflect global best standards and ensure long-term impact. Dr. Buffon believes that quality healthcare, accessible and modern education, and access to social care led by compassion are fundamental rights and essential pillars in creating resilience and sustainable economic development. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ingrid Buffon, the Honorable Minister of Education, Health, and Social Services to Montserrat.
The clicker may fail me. Distinguished leaders, esteemed colleagues, policymakers, partners, and friends from across Africa, the Caribbean, and our global diaspora, greetings from the island of Montserrat. It is a profound honor to address this gathering at the African Caribbean Sustainability and Investment Summit, where our shared purpose unites us. To build systems of resilience, inclusion, and opportunity that can sustain our nations for generations to come. Montserrat, the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean, excuse me with the clicker. Montserrat, the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean, is a small, lush volcanic island, just over 39 square miles in size, but with a spirit far greater than its borders. 30 years ago, our island faced devastation when the Soufriere Hills volcano Sorry, 30 years ago, our island faced devastation when the Soufriere Hills volcano erupted, burying our capital city and displacing 2/3 of our population. We lost homes, infrastructure, livelihoods, and for a time, perhaps our sense of purpose, as most of what we knew and loved was gone. I think attention to the clicker will be necessary for further presentations today. Lost was our solid past, our opportunities, and our planned future. However, we did not lose our spirit. Resilience was not born in 1995, but it was awakened, built throughout the 1950s and 60s and 70s on the endurance of teachers who worked without slate and nurses who worked without gloves and modern supplies, and communities that held each other up through faith and common purpose. 3 decades later, Montserrat has rebuilt, not just physically, but socially, culturally, spiritually, and administratively. We have learned that resilience is not a reaction, it is a system. It must be intentionally cultivated through policies that protect, empower, and include every citizen. As we transition from recovery to renewal, Montserrat's focus has shifted from rebuilding what was lost to reimagining what must come next. This includes green energy through investment in solar and geothermal energy, which harness energy from sources we have rich in supply. We are redefining the child and life development continuum, a vision that sees every stage of human life as interconnected and essential to national growth, with, at its core, how we protect and nurture our children. But it also recognizes the elderly among us. This is a hopeless clicker. It also recognizes the elderly among us who must be protected from vulnerability and must be facilitated in securing good health and well-being. We are developing policies in education, health, and social services which have at their center the Montserratian citizen. These include policy directives which are already strengthening special education and technical subject programs, through which we shall leave no child behind, teacher retention strategies, digital transformation of education, and child safeguarding. With a new safeguarding board and safeguarding policy, we are dedicated to the safety and well-being of all children and vulnerable adults. Our new Safe Summer project merged resources with Youth Affairs and the Montserrat Children's Society to keep our student population engaged in a variety of interesting activities this summer, getting them closer to becoming the ideal Montserratian citizens. Youth protection and advocacy must be at the core of what we do. In health, our mandate includes driving policies for fast and efficient medical evacuation for time-critical emergencies to tertiary centers nearby, consultant-led emergency care, non-communicable disease management, and early cancer diagnosis strategies. Health transformation, which began in 2022, has brought us CT scanning, mammography, electronic medical records, and sustainable training in life support courses. In February of this year, we broke ground on our new national hospital, which shall be open in March of 2022. Regarding social policy, access to health care was improved in 2025 as we have equalized fees through adjusting law and policy. This means that our non-national children and persons over 60 receive free access to health care. Work in 2026 will include equalizing access to other aspects of social protection that the vulnerable require, including food packages and back-to-school supplies. With progressive policy directives also being made in agriculture, sports, and investment, we would like to give you the clear message today that Montserrat is back and we are open for business as we build systems that ensure sustainability, accountability, and a focus on the well-being and the development of everyone on island. To our partners, the UK, through the FCDO, we acknowledge your support and your dedication to the development of Montserrat. In 2026, we shall begin a new classification of being a high-income territory, no longer qualifying for official direct assistance. We look forward to this graduation as it brings with it the promise of further growth through industry, investment, and continued commitment to policies which strengthen, protect, and advance our people. To our diaspora, as an island, we are 4,300 persons. As a nation that embraces and includes its diaspora, we are 50,000 strong. We embrace your experience, your new knowledge base. We welcome your investment in home. We welcome your ideas and suggestions. And we welcome you returning to Montserrat either on a holiday or attendance at our festivals, where now traditionally we celebrate you, us, as Montserratians through literature and culture in November, our Carnival in December, the St. Patrick's Festival in March, the Calabash Festival in July. We have even celebrated a breadfruit and mango festival in August. On Montserrat, there is always something to celebrate as we have risen from the ashes and we are moving forward from strength to strength. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Defong. Deeply inspiring. Montserrat, as you know, well, I don't know if you know, but I am from Montserrat as well, so that is deeply touching to me. Seeing those pictures of when I grew up and all the pictures of town, what we call town, right? It's devastating. Okay, let me recompose. Next, we are going to hear from the gentleman you met a little earlier, the Deputy Chair of ACSIS, Mr. Derek Cobbiner. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He's going to speak on Bridging Continents, which is strengthening trade and investment between Africa and the Caribbean, which is exactly what we are all here for. So Derek is a seasoned professional with over 14 years of distinguished expertise in human resources, transport, customer service, inbound and outbound logistics, reverse logistics, purchasing, procurement, and outsourcing. With a robust multinational background in humanitarian logistics, Derek has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership and adaptability in high-pressure and challenging environments. His strategic vision and operational excellence have positioned him as a pivotal figure in fostering cross-cultural business collaborations. A proud veteran, Derek served 10 years in the British Army, where his exemplary service earned him 2 prestigious tour medals, the Afghanistan Service Medal and the Queen's Jubilee Medal. This military experience instilled in him a strong sense of discipline, resilience, and commitment to excellence, qualities he brings to his role as president of the Ghana-Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. Derek's leadership is dedicated to strengthening economic and cultural ties between Ghana and Jamaica, driving innovative solutions and promoting sustainable growth for businesses and communities across both nations. Derek, please come to the stage.
Thank you very much. I'll stand on all existing protocols. Before I go, I think we have a video, which is a tribute to Jamaica for obviously the hurricane, and yeah, so yeah.
Jamaica, home of the resilient, passionate and hard-working. A people and a nation who have achieved and defied all odds, working to keep their economy growing, their country thriving, from investments made in innovative opportunities and exports demanded globally. We have a vision, now within our grasp, where Jamaica becomes the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. We will not let go of this vision. We will grow. We will overcome these challenging times and look to the future with hope and positivity. These are special times. The world as we know it has changed, but home will always be in our hearts. And in Jamaica, you can always find a home. Think you know Jamaica? Look again. You will be surprised.
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, let me say a very big thank you and heartfelt to the chairman of ACSIS. I think he's done an amazing job. I think he deserves a round of applause, please, David. And obviously, I must say his incredible team as well. They deserve a round of applause for doing this today. For me, it's truly an honor to serve alongside an incredible organization team. And many brilliant speakers here today, as I can see, have said a lot of things which I believe basically I probably wouldn't have to probably go over, because at the end of the day, we believe that the future is in Africa and the Caribbean. So without further ado, I think I'll go over to the slides and then just, yeah. Yes. So we can see these two amazing people here, which are my inspiration, the likes of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Marcus Garvey. I think we all know them. And it says it there, Marcus Garvey, a people without the knowledge of their past is like a tree without its roots. So what legacy did these two people leave? I mean, Marcus Garvey from Jamaica, Pan-Africanist, I mean, what he set up and everything, an amazing guy, and Kwame Nkrumah. And for me, when I think about Africa and the Caribbean, these two obviously play a key role, and it comes to mind because this is something that these men started. So this is something that these people did, and I believe that we are just here to continue. So Marcus Garvey dreamed it in Jamaica, and Kwame Nkrumah built it in Ghana. That's we have it. So Marcus Garvey started something, obviously with the Black Star line. Kwame Nkrumah also did it with Black Star Line as well. And both, obviously, as we said, understood a divided diaspora is controlled diaspora, but a united diaspora is unstoppable. And that is why it is important for Africa and the Caribbean to come together, because these people laid their lives for us to thrive where we are today. So, obviously, let me talk about a bit more about Ghana, my home country, my beloved Ghana. Obviously, we are the center of the world. and it's the gateway, and it's the gateway to Africa. So before you come to Africa, please, you need to visit Ghana for the very first time. And obviously, Zambia as well. It's a great country, and I hope that since the High Commissioner is here, I'll be getting an invitation to I'll get an invitation to Zambia very soon. So obviously, Ghana, and why and the ease of doing business. I mean, obviously, as you already know, I always tell people that there's two things that you always have to talk about, Ghana and Nigeria. So in the room, never ever, obviously, talk about Ghana and Nigeria because they will gang up on you and always have a go at you. So before, number one rule when you go to Ghana is that when you are in Ghana, just say Ghana has got the best jollof. And when you are in Nigeria, just say Nigeria has got the best jollof. Yeah, okay. But obviously, they all know we have the better jollof, but maybe. I'm yet to try the one from Zambia. Maybe Zambia will be in the race. But anyway, yes, as you already know, I mean, Ghana, I mean, destined for greatness. This is what we do, I mean, and we are trying. So the whole idea is me using Ghana as the gateway to Africa and using Jamaica to unlock the Caribbean. And that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so in the Caribbean, I mean, these are some of the amazing things and opportunities that we've been trying to obviously do in terms of the Jamaica leads, in terms of in the community in solar. I mean, we have Barbados pioneering, obviously, the blue economy financing. We have Trinidad and Tobago, which dominates the creative industry. And obviously, the Caribbean renewable capacity obviously grew up, I would say, like 300% in the last 15 years. So there's a lot of things that we can learn, and I believe that there's solutions in Africa that obviously the Caribbean needs and vice versa. So where lies the real opportunities? Well, here we go. We have the renewable energy and the climate tech. We have the agro-processing and blue economy, and obviously the fintech and the creative industry. These are amazing things that we have. And I remember 2 years ago when I first went to Jamaica, I realized that they didn't have mobile money. Mobile money in Ghana, I mean, even in Kenya, it's a big deal. And I feel like it's a real opportunity for us to be able to take mobile money into the Caribbean. And obviously, there's a lot of services as well in terms of Ghana can learn a lot. I mean, the brand Jamaica, probably one of the, it's not as big as Ghana, but they scream and they shout a lot. I mean, the first time when I went there, I realized that we can learn a whole lot from them in Ghana, because Ghana has got everything. We have all the, we have all the slave castles, we have all the gold, but we are not shouting enough. So from our point of view, we can learn from our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and see how they build tourism and how they get it done, which is an amazing thing. So what we need to do, I mean, we need to find a way to build this bridge. And I've been saying this for the past 2 years since I got this role. And how do we build this bridge? We need to work together. And I've been having interesting conversations with a lot of people who talk about Africa and Caribbean. And there's a lot of work that we need to do before even we start obviously doing business. And one of the key things that I see is, I mean, we've been apart for so long that there's a lot of cultural nuances, there's a lot of things which are different. So for us to be able to do business together, we need to be able to understand ourselves. And I don't think Africans and Caribbeans understand ourselves properly in order for us to do business. So one of the key things that obviously with ACSIS, and myself and the chairman trying to do is to make sure that we find a way to sort of understand ourselves. Because I always say that the Caribbean see themselves as you with your twin brother, you guys are separated at birth. One is moved to America, he's having the best time of his life, and the other one is back home in Ghana, and he's seeing videos of you having a great time all the time and everything, and you probably have never reached out for the past 70 to 100 years. So for now, as Africans, because our population is way more than the people within the Caribbean, we need to have an unconscious effort and be more intentional and reach out to our brothers within the Caribbean, because I think they need all our help and support right now. And as you can already see, in Ghana right now, I mean, we've just sent a couple of release items. The Ghana president just announced sending a few soldiers to go and help with relief items. So Africans need to make that conscious effort to reach out to our brothers and sisters. And I think with that, it will make, obviously, the Caribbean people understand how and what we are thinking. Because there are a lot of people, even in Ghana, who don't even know a lot about Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean, because these are things that we don't usually learn in schools. And even with them, I mean, I remember when I first went to Jamaica for the first time, people were excited. They hear about us, they hear about the Ashanti King and all these people and stuff like that, but they are never able to connect. And there's a lot of issues and problems happening at the moment. So this year, I mean, it will be the beginning of some exciting things. Next month, we have a chartered flight heading to Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad, I think, with Air Peace. And we are looking at having the next probably chartered flight maybe happening somewhere in March between Ghana and Jamaica for the very, very first time, which I think will be ideal in terms of doing business. Because I feel where there isn't any connectivity, then it becomes difficult for us to travel from, let's say, Ghana to Jamaica, even though Ghana is now visa-free with a lot of these countries in the Caribbean. We still have to go through the UK or the US. So there's always constraints, and vice versa them as well. And we always need a transit visa. So there's a lot of these concerns that are always a big issue when it comes to doing business or reaching out to our brothers and sisters. And I believe that that's one of the things that we need to work on, work with the government agencies, work on our various high commissioners to be able to make us a step closer to our brothers and sisters. So now, to my baby, which is the Ghana-Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, which was born 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, I had never been to any Caribbean island in my life. And this is, I mean, for me being in the British Army, I had been to over 45 countries, and I had never been to anywhere in the Caribbean. So I was playing golf one day with the honorary consul for Jamaica, and he was like, "Have you been to Jamaica?" And I was like, "No." So the first time I went there was 2 years ago in August, and I fell in love with Jamaica. Then I was asked to set up, obviously, the Ghana-Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. And what do? What we do is simple. We use Ghana as a gateway to Africa, and use Jamaica to unlock the Caribbean. And this is just simple because I feel like for us to be able to start to do what we are trying to do, we need to be able to connect with the right people at the right time. And in the chamber, we do three things. We provide the right access, we provide the right connections in order for people to do trade. So these are the three key things that we are able to do with the chamber. So if you are here and you are coming to Ghana for the very first time and you are not a member of my chamber, then you are losing out, because you have to see Ghana through my eyes, because coming to Ghana through your eyes will be different from seeing Ghana through my eyes. So if you haven't taken my number or details, please do. Aaron? Slides. No pressing it now. Yeah. Yes. So next bit, access. So I hope we all have our phones with us. Please show your phones. Please, your phones. Please, if you can, try and follow our Instagram page, our social media page, our LinkedIn, our YouTube page. We need to get these messages out there. Please, if you are not following ACSIS online, the African Caribbean Sustainability and Investment Summit, please follow us. Please take a picture. Please tag us. Please, we need you guys to send this message out there. We are also live on YouTube as well, so all what is happening today obviously is recorded and can be played and obviously be played back again. So I believe that there's a lot of important things that we have to do in order to be able to connect with each other. I need your help here. So we're going to do something interesting here because I think everybody's a bit quiet. And that's something that I don't like, a quiet room. We're going to do something interesting. So Um, show by hands, how many of you have heard about this event, this conference? Has anybody heard about it before you were invited? Have you ever heard about it? Show by hands. Let me see. Oh, wow. Okay. So you see. Anyway, so ACSIS, on the count of 3, please, we are going to shout ACSIS 2025. So we're going to do our hands out, yeah? So 3, 2, 1. ACSIS. Nah, you guys you are not loud enough, please. 3, 2, 1. ACSIS 2020. Oh, come on. Did you guys need a break? Okay, I'm going to give you a break for the last time. ACSIS 2025 on 3, 2, 1. ACSIS 2020. That's more like it. Thank you very much.
And that leads us beautifully into a coffee break. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free. There's a station at the back. Please visit our vendors in the room next door. They have amazing craft work, beautiful early childhood things, beautiful jewelry. Please patronize them, have a look, and we'll see you back here in about maybe 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Please take your seats. Thank you. All right, Erin, whenever you're ready.
This is the Orange Growers Association. Our name is our purpose. We are a prominent non-profit organisation dedicated to a single, powerful mission: supporting orange growers to be globally competitive. The exceptional harvest from our smallholder farmers now has a guaranteed route to the global market, ensuring high-quality Ghanaian oranges are cultivated and sold. That route is driven by our strategic partnership with Sono Ghana, West Africa's largest fruit juice processing facility. This collaboration channels the entire harvest into the industrial value chain, giving our farmers a vital, ready market. At Sono, our fresh oranges are converted into high-quality juice concentrate for consumers globally. Think orange, live orange.
Think orange, live orange. I like that. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your coffee break. Now we're going to hear from Dr. Ngozi Oyewole, who is the president of Commonwealth Business Women Africa. And she will speak on empowering women, driving progress in business, markets, and policy. And for those of you who weren't here yesterday, no, when you come up, they'll change it. So, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Oyewole. So Ngozi is a dynamic, as you can tell, entrepreneur and leading voice for women's economic empowerment across Africa. As president of Commonwealth Business Women Africa, she leads a vast network advancing women's inclusion in business, markets, and policy. With over 20 years of experience, Ngozi is also the MD and Chief Executive of Noxy Limited, renowned for manufacturing office furniture and flame-retardant PPE for Nigeria's oil and gas industry. She is the visionary behind initiatives like training 1 million African girls in coding, and also serves as chair of the Strategic Women and Youth Institute. Please help me welcome Dr. Oyewole to the stage.
Great pleasure to be here. Out there with me is my DG, actually, so it gives me confidence. I hope I'm able to represent him because he's a huge policy advocate. So, and at the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, I chair the Wood and Wood Sectorial Group of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And then I represent the same organization as the vice chairman of the Industrial Training Fund, one of the parastatals of the Federal Ministry of Industry. The conversation today is not going to be so bad because we already had something that set the tone yesterday. So you may be listening. Some of the things I would say would be from our takeaway of yesterday. And so I will try and be formal. Distinguished leaders, esteemed guests, innovators, investors, and champions of sustainable development, I am honored to stand before you today at a defining moment for Africa, the Caribbean, and our interconnected global community. We gather here not just to exchange ideas, but to shape a new economic narrative, one in which African and Caribbean women are no longer at the margins of decision-making, but at the center of business, markets, and policy innovation. Today, we affirm a truth that can no longer be debated. When women rise, economies rise. When women lead, communities stabilize. When women are empowered, nations are transformed. So across Africa and the Caribbean, women make up the backbone of micro and small enterprises. They're farmers, feeding cities, traders, sustaining markets, tech founders, building solutions, creatives, influencing culture, and executives shaping the corporate futures. Yet they continue to face limited access to financing, barriers to trade and global markets, restricted ownership of land and productive assets, cultural norms that undermine their leadership potential. So empowering women in business, it's not charity, it is smart economics. Studies consistently show that closing the gender gap in entrepreneurship and labor markets can unlock trillions of dollars in GDP for emerging economies. But more importantly, women reinvest up to 90% of their incomes back into their families and communities, creating intergenerational impact. Today's investors is not only looking for profit, they're seeking sustainable returns, responsible leadership, and inclusive growth. And no demographic delivers this better than women. So to truly empower women, we must do more than support their businesses. We must open the pathways to markets, value chains, and international trade. Somebody said yes, I think it was Darwin, he says, women do not lack ideas, they lack platforms. They do not lack capacity, they lack access. Africa and the Caribbean stand at a strategic intersection of global trade. Yet too many women are trading locally while the world trades globally. We must champion cross-border trade opportunities, export readiness training, access to digital marketplaces, regional collaboration between Africa and the Caribbean women-led enterprises. Through partnerships, sustainable investment, and diaspora linkages, we can build a shared economic ecosystem where women-owned businesses scale beyond borders and where our markets speak to each other with confidence and equality. For progress to be lasting, women must not only participate in business, they must shape the policies that govern business. Women must be at the decision-making table. You can't talk about a woman without having her on the table. And I tell you women, thank you very much. I tell you women, when you get to that table, shake it. On regulatory boards, they must be on regulatory boards, they must be in investment councils, they must be in national assemblies and in continental economic forums, in the rooms where policy is drafted, debated, and implemented. No sustainable development agenda can succeed if half of its population is excluded from the architecture of power, women. Women bring a leadership style that is collaborative, transparent, and future-focused, exactly what sustainability demands. Empowering women in policy is how we build institutions that endure, markets that are equitable, and growth that is inclusive. Africa and the Caribbean share a history of resilience and a destiny of prosperity. We are connected by culture, creativity, and courage. If you want to know, ask David. He and I are brother and sister. We are united, and of course, Carol is my sister-in-law. We are united by the power of our women, the richness of our resources, and the brilliance of our youth. And together we can build sustainable industries, green investment ecosystem, women-led innovation hubs, regional value chains, climate-smart economies, stronger diplomatic and economic cooperation. This summit is not a conversation, it is a commitment. A commitment to invest in women, a commitment to integrate our markets, a commitment to create policies that uplift, not restrict, a commitment to build a sustainable future together. And so this morning, our call to action is to every investor here, invest in women. To every policymaker, legislate with women. To every partner, build with women. To every woman listening, rise with confidence because the world needs your leadership now more than ever. No more suffering from imposter syndromes. The African and Caribbean woman is not waiting for permission. She's stepping into power. She is stepping into shaping economies. She is rewriting narratives. She's driving sustainability, and she is ready for global impact. In closing, empowering women is not just an agenda. It is a what? A movement. A movement towards progress, a movement toward prosperity, a movement towards a sustainable future for all. Thank you. Let's build this future together. Thank you.
Did I promise you dynamic or what? Thank you so much, Dr. Ngozi. Oh, how amazing was that? Whew, okay. Next, we have our speaker who is going to continue to take us further on the journey of development and resilience. His name is Eric Darko Mattox, and let me tell you a little bit about him. He is an author, an education thought leader, who explores how representation, sustainability, and values-based learning can unlock young people's potential and inspire a new generation of responsible leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eric.
I normally have that problem when I wear my heels, so it's okay. I'm only joking. But just in case that gets on the tinterweb. Well, good morning, everyone. As rightly said, my name is Eric Darko Mattox, and it's my privilege to stand here before you this morning. I'm an author, an educator, and a relentless believer in the potential of young people. I was born in Accra, Ghana. And the home of good jollof, as well as every other jollof. Yeah, you know, he started it, so I had to throw in 2 pence. But you know, before we start World War III in here, you know, I grew up in Edmonton, North London. Hey, big up. So my story is like many of us in here. It sits between 2 continents, cultures, and identities. There's a special place in my heart for black youth in the UK and in Africa. But let me be clear before I start. My mission is for every child, from every background, to see themselves in a story and know that their life matters. But my focus on Africa is not about favoring one child over another. It's about making sure that no child, especially those too often overlooked, is left out of a story. You know, it's been said that if you don't have a dream of your own, you end up inside someone else's. You know, growing up in Edmonton, I spent many years searching for myself through pages. My mum always used to say to me, Kwame, born on Saturday, Kwame,